Is Dr Elizabeth Malcom. She's a social historian attached to the Institute of Irish Studies at Queen's University in Belfast. She came to prominence recently with a book on drinking and temperance in 19th century Ireland. She came to this country from Australia in 1974, Elizabeth, to study, isn't that right?
Yes, I came to do my doctorate at Trinity under Theo Moody in late 1974.
And the thesis you did, that formed the basis of the book?
Yes, yes. After a long period, the book appeared.
It created a bit of a stir in the sense that some people thought you were saying the Irish don't drink at all, you know. No, I wasn't saying that, but I mean, I was trying to emphasise the opposite side of the normal stereotype. I mean, there's so much information about Irish drinking and a lot of joking about it. And I was I was mainly looking at the Temperance Movement in Ireland and making the simple point that it was very strong and very influential. It was probably more powerful than in Ireland than in Britain or in America. And I think that needed to be said to offset the normal stereotype of the heavy drinking Irish. Why do you think the Temperance Movement got such a hold?
Well, that's rather hard. Obviously, it had very strong religious basis in Ireland, both among Catholics and also among Protestants in the north. And I think, obviously, the power of religion in Ireland did give a great deal of strength to the Temperance Movement, and that partly explains its success, because it's very closely linked with religion.
But in more general terms, I think you would argue that it's not so much the amount the Irish drink or drank as the way that we drink. Is that it?
Yes, I mean, if you look at statistics for the consumption of alcohol, the Irish don't drink a great amount compared to a lot of other countries. There are many, many countries that drink vastly more. So it's not just in terms of amount of alcohol that's consumed, but the fact that the Irish tend to drink in public houses, drink not at home, often drink without meals. I think these often create social problems with drink, like public drunkenness or fighting with drink, and that gives, I think, the impression that you have perhaps a serious drink problem. Now, I'm not saying Ireland doesn't have a drink problem, but I think it has been perhaps exaggerated. Well, it's become part of the Irish stereotype, and I think stereotypes are very misleading, and they tend to accentuate a particular characteristic, exaggerate it to the point of caricature, and I think that's what has happened with drink in the Irish. The Irish certainly do drink.
Yeah, but it's tricky to get rid of stereotypes, isn't it? Because they fulfill certain needs. I mean, they're what very often people want to believe about a particular society. Well,
actually, there was an interesting article by an anthropologist at Maynooth called Eileen Kane in an issue of Studies last year, looking at the Irish stereotype, particularly in relation to mental illness, which is the subject I'm interested in now. And she stresses the fact that a stereotype can be something that's imposed upon you from the outside, and you particularly get it where, in a colonial situation, where the conquering power will impose a stereotype on the subdued society. But after a while, the people of the colonised society start to believe the stereotype themselves. And she stresses that with regards to the Irish, the stereotype, the Irish are drunk, the Irish are lazy, they suffer much higher rates of mental illness, all of which you can, disprove. But she feels that it's got to the stage now where the Irish believe that themselves.
But surely we're not that powerless, that in the face of that kind of stereotype.
Well, I think if you internalise that stereotype, if you come to believe this about yourself, or suspect it or fear it, you start thinking, well, maybe they're right, maybe we are like
Do you
this.
think, for example, compared to your native Australia, that we have a lower self-image by and large?
Yes. I mean, I notice it when I go back to Australia. One of the things that strikes me about Australia is that there's a great deal of confidence and a fair amount of optimism, certainly compared with Ireland. Now, Australians had economic problems like everywhere else in the last 10 or 15 years, but there is an optimism and there is a confidence in Australia that I don't find here in Ireland. And okay, Australia has great natural resources. It probably does not have as severe economic problems as Ireland.
There's also a hellishly crude Australian stereotype, isn't there?
Yes.
Beer swilling.
Yes. And again, there's some truth in that, but it is a caricature.
But I mean, you often wonder what the roots of the positive self-image are. I suppose to some degree economic. I mean, but yet Australia has had its problems, as you say.
Well, there's this sense in Australia, you get a lot of people saying Australia is a very young country, it's a very new country. There's this sense that Australia's time has not yet come, that it's a huge country with vast resources that haven't been exploited, and that in the future it will be a better, more powerful, whatever you want to call it, richer country than it is now. Whereas, you know, I feel sometimes with Ireland there is this backward-lookingness, looking back to history, that maybe Ireland's golden age was in the Middle Ages, and, you know, there's a doubt, an uncertainty about the future, even a fear about the future, which I think is different from Australia.
And yet, presumably, the recovery of some sense of a golden age could itself underpin some kind of a renewal of a society, or could it, do you think?
Yes, well, I mean, I don't think Ireland's future is necessarily bleak. As I say, I feel this is all part of some sort of stereotype that Irish people have adopted, possibly from colonialism. I don't know.